Hey up, welcome to the Cannon Farm podcast. With us, the Nicholson brothers farmers Rob and Dave.
We're two Yorkshire farmers who, along with our dad Roger, brother Rich and the rest of our family, have turned a farm with 2 sheds and a barn into an award-winning tourist attraction.
You've seen us on telly, live on Facebook, and now we've got our very own podcast.
Today we've got part 2 of our chat with our really good friend, Jules Hudson.
Coming up.
And he was from Poland.
Was he?
And he recognised me. And he said, "Oh, my God." He said, it's Jules Hudson. I said, "Yeah, it is." He said, my family watch you in Poland. Yeah. But actually, it's a Polish voice on the show. So there's some guy in Poland. he's trying to talk like me.
Yeah. We're recording this episode in November. That's why we've got the big coats on. It's really freezing. We're also recording winter on the farm, so we've been busy.
Now, that's why we've got Jules here. While he's recording winter on the farm, we thought we'd get him on the sofa for part 2, and I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to it. Part 1 was great.
I can't wait to hear about Escape to the Country. It's a personal favourite programme of mine. He's such an accomplished performer. I'm sure he's a load of stories to tell and enchant us with.
Well, I've heard a couple of them in the pub, Rob, so, they are quite good.
But will the pub stories make it to the sofa? We'll find out soon.
We're actually going to find out right now, because here's part 2 with Jules Hudson.
If I shut my eyes then, I could have almost have thought that was Jules Hudson. You were so slick there, Dave.
Well, some of his charm must have rubbed off on me.
Right, really, really pleased to welcome the one and only Jules Hudson back to the couch for part 2 of our podcast with him. If you haven't watched part 1, please find it. It's an absolutely brilliant watch and a brilliant listen.
Oh, boys, we're having such a good chat here, aren't we? I mean, I know we haven't got all day, but we could fill it.
Yeah, definitely could. Right, we got as far as Escape to the Country.
Yes.
Right? And you're obviously really well known for that. You've done all kinds of other stuff as well. Tell us about Escape and the difference it's made to your life and your career.
Well, yeah, Escape to the Country was not part of the plan. When I got the call to do Escape to the Country, I saw myself very much as a history presenter, I suppose. But the head of BBC Daytime, had more brains than I did, and she knew my story from living in Wales and renovating my home and my passion for country life and the rural community. And it just so happened they were revising what was still quite an early series. There'd been 4 short series of Escape to the Country up to that point, presented by a lady called Catherine G, with a slightly different format. But Jay Hunt, who was head of Daytime, said, actually, I think, Jules, this would be for you. It was a wonderful opportunity. And it was one of those moments when I finally got the call. Funny enough, I was living in Wales. There was the internet, such as it was on dial-up. Do you remember that awful ringtone that you get, right? So like the sort of fax machine noise. And my agent Hillary rang me and she said, have you looked at your email? I said, no. Why would I? What's happening? Nothing's happening. I was feeling a bit down in the dumps, to be honest. She said, just look at your email. So I logged on and I watched this page build in front of me. It was like watching a knitting machine creating a Christmas jumper, And eventually there was this page of text, and it was a message from Jay to Hillary. And we'd met at a party, and I'd obviously told her my story. And she said, look, we're rethinking Escape, and I think Jules would be great. Do you think he'd do it? And Hillary had already replied, yes. And I remember then talking to the commissioner of the show, and she said, Jules, it's very simple. I just want you to own the show, own the countryside. And that's what I've tried to do ever since. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey, a handrail through a huge chunk of my life.
How many programmes, Jules?
I honestly can't tell you. I don't know, but 18 years worth.
And how many a year do you do at the moment?
Probably 10, I suppose. In the past I've done 20, 25. It's hundreds of episodes, hundreds and hundreds of properties, couples. And I've always had a love of the British Isles. I always loved exploring it, long before I got into TV. But of course, TV and the TV I've done, Time Team and other shows like that, ensure that you do see a lot of the UK.
Does one house stand out in particular, Jules, or one episode, or are just too many to think of?
It's too many to think of. What does stand out for me are the crews with whom I make it. And I'm really proud of the fact that in an industry which can chew people up, let's be honest, and spit them out the other side, and it's all down to the management team at Escape. We have been able to attract and retain and grow our team. So as I did, people coming in as runners, researchers, becoming assistant producers.
Are you sure, Jules? Just think really long and hard here. Are you sure that you can't think of one episode that means more to you than any other?
I know which one you're thinking about.
Oh, hang on.
Us at the Yorkshire Show.
Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. You see, I was in my Escape archive. This year in 2024, I was filming an episode in Yorkshire, and my team said, "Look, we're going to go to the Great Yorkshire Show." I said, "Well, that's fantastic. Have you got permission?" They said, "Well, no." So I said, "Well, I'll give Joe Francisco a call at the Great Yorkshire Show team, with whom we used to make Today at the Great Yorkshire Show, lads." And I said, "Joe, look, we're coming up, we're doing Escape. I know the boys are there. Peter White's going to be there. Can we come and shoot at the show?" She said, "Of course you can." And so we had a great day, didn't we? It was nice to be reunited again on the showground.
Yeah. And we were on the stage, weren't we, Rob? Yeah. It was, I
think what's really nice is that whenever Jules is in the area, whenever we get the chance, he'll always give us a ring. "What are you doing tonight, lads? Shall we get together?" And it's that kind of carry on, isn't it? We don't see each other for a month or two sometimes, but when we do, we just click.
But it's interesting, I mean, going back to the Great Yorkshire Show, that is where we first met, when I did the first series of Today at the Great Yorkshire Show back in 2018?
It must be 6 years,
5 or 6 years ago,
isn't it?
It was before COVID, obviously.
Was it?
Yeah. It was, I think, I want to say 2019, I think. Anyway, but that's when I was first introduced to you, because we had a set there, didn't we, on location. Me and Anita Rani were anchoring the show. And you were the next item. The Nicholsons are coming in. They've won all these.
What did you think when you met it?
Well, I remember your dad being very chatty, actually.
Yeah.
And you two, but I also could see that. I mean, it was chalk and cheese, because there's TVs, cameras, there's lights, there's us, there's the rush in and out, isn't there? I could see it was a little bit, unknown to you.
No, it was right at the start of our little journey, really.
But then when eventually, the call came to do This Week on the Farm in lockdown, and I knew you were doing it, I thought this is going to be great.
And that was Richard Mortimer. Did he actually sign you up for that?
It was Paul.
Paul did.
Yeah, Paul did.
Right.
Yeah, Paul did. And so Paul rang me and said, "Look, are you free in lockdown?"
Not free, but great value.
Well, let me check the diary. Yeah, and of course, at that time, there were lots of technical questions. Could I film it at home? Did I have a suitable setting?
Well, you had Colin, didn't you?
Well, eventually, the idea originally was that we do it all on our iPhones. It wasn't it, because you were doing your iPhone so well with the
But
Facebook.
we were lucky enough to have Dale, though. Without him, we would have floundered and we wouldn't have been able to do it.
But what a great opportunity it was for Dale.
Yeah.
And it revealed Dale to be a fantastic, media operator. And he's pacing around over there.
But he's smiling, Jules. He's smiling.
But no, it was a great opportunity.
He's made two old men very happy, as Dale, hasn't he?
Without Dale, we wouldn't have travelled the world.
But yeah, so Escape has been a huge part of my life, and I'm so grateful, really, for every show that I do. And I remember signing off my first episode. The exec producer was with me, and we were reformatting the show as we went. We were doing some different things. It was the first episode I'd made for them. And we got to the end of it, and one of the things I'd already appreciated was just how free it was. I could author it as I wanted to. I could react as I wanted to. I could share my passion for country life with the buyers. And we got to the end, and he said, "Right, end piece to camera, Jules." And I said, "Yeah, sure, John. Anything in particular you've got in mind for this?" He said, "No, just carry on as normal. Say what you want to say." And I ended it. It was a sort of split-second decision with the phrase, "I'll see you next time." because at that point I'd only been booked for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And I was hoping this would twist someone's arm to think that I might come back for more. Little did I know, 18 years later. But yeah, that's how it's been, and say a great hand ran through my life.
And also, what you haven't actually said, how many countries is Escaping?
Oh, it's across the world now. It's in 180 territories. Territories is the way they describe it.
And is that your episodes, or is that a spin-off of Escape?
No, that's our episodes.
Wow.
Literally exported.
So you're known worldwide.
Yes. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, when I look at my social media...
really privileged to be here.
But honestly, I'd say, 20-30% of my followers are in North America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Northern Europe. I mean, I was coming out of a hotel last year. There was a guy there with a mobile car wash, washing a car, and he turned the sprayer off as I walked towards him, dragging my bag across the car park. And he was from Poland.
Was he?
And he recognised me, and he said, "Oh my God!" He said, "It's Jules Hudson." I said, "Yeah, it is." He said, "Oh, my family watch you in Poland," but actually, it's a Polish voice on the show. So there's some guy in Poland. he's trying to talk like me. Yeah. Goodness knows what he looks like, but it's just great. It has travelled the world, and it's a real privilege to do it. And it's become a great ambassador, I think, for the British countryside, for rural Britain, for our property, of course, but also for our social and other history.
Whenever I watch you on set, Jules, right, and I do watch, I can see you understand. You've always a view on how things should be done. You're a filmmaker. You're not just a presenter. You know the whole thing. You make your own films for social media, don't you? You've got everything that you need to make a great film in one little bag.
Absolutely, and I think now, with the opportunities we all have, with modern technology, with smartphones and so forth, the opportunity to create and make films has never been better. I mean, when I think back to my early days, as a runner, we were still shooting on film. You had camera assistants, loaders, great big tripods, great big cameras, and the skill needed to use them took many years to gain. There was no way I could have just run out and picked up a camera and started making my own stuff. But now you've got the means in your pocket.
So now you've got your own drone. If you want a wide shot just to set the scene, you send your drone up, you're presenting away, you do everything yourself.
And I think it's really liberating.
I mean, there's one film you made that stands out over everything. I mean, do you know which one it is?
Go on.
Lure of the Year award. Right, you took that.
I'm pretty sure Dale made that.
You took that. No, but you were in charge of it. Dale shot it, but
he was exec.
And he said, "Right, lads, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to be kind of cleaning that toilet, giving it some serious pasty."
The Lure of the Year.
It was nice to work with you on that though, because you had a clear idea, you gave clear direction. We just did what we needed to do. Dale shot it and edited it.
I forgot we even did that.
You were flush with success.
Hey, you see? Yeah, we did that for the Lure of the Year award, which I host every year, as you know. And you two were up for an award, so we came here to make a little film. Well, Dale made it.
And we were guests of honour at the event itself.
You were indeed. Yeah, that was some... Yeah, do you think that's the best one?
Well, probably not, but it does stand out because your creative ideas came out. You said, right, let's do it this way. You two, can be cleaning the toilets because they've just turned up. You made a story out of nothing.
But that is what we do. And that is media, actually, creating something out of nothing. And I think the joy now of the smartphone and what you'll see online, so many filmmakers out there, having some fun with it, having some freedom with it. And I think actually that's probably why more media, more TV, more shows, more ideas are watched online now, because actually it's less prescriptive than mainstream TV.
It's the future, Jules.
I think it is. And here you are at the farm as farmers with a podcast. Yeah. I mean, this is the future. You're living the future.
Who would have thought it? Hey, Dave, now we're into 2025. We can finally talk about our new book.
That's coming out in March.
Exactly.
Now, I'm really excited about this because Mum and Dad have done their chapters, Rich has done his, you've done yours, and I did mine. And I've got to say, I mentioned the pub more than once.
Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone's contribution, because I don't know yet what Mum and Dad have written. I don't know what you've written, and I don't know what Richard's written. But I would imagine Richard in particular has definitely got a story to tell.
Absolutely, yes.
We can't wait for you all to get the chance to read it. You can pre-order it right now. Simply visit merch.cannonhallfarm.co.uk and reserve your copy now.
I'm going to do that, Rob.
You don't even know how to do it.
I'm going on Google. I'm going to be there in a minute. What was it?
merch.cannonhallfarm.co.uk.
Right.
And reserve your copy now.
Sound.
Your engagement with our farming army and with the farm supporters is an inspiration to us all. But you've been able to do it with a smartphone, and of course, lockdown gave you the impetus to do it, and you've carried that on. And people think it's easy. It's not. It's hard work. You've got to always be on it. You've got to be creative, and keep it engaging and keep it informative. And the fact that you two do that just shows, how right it was that TV landed upon you. And thank goodness for it, because otherwise
he looks so smug.
No, I don't. I do think it's for a period of time, isn't it? And when it's gone, it'll be gone, and we'll go back to being farmers. But it's something no one can take away. The forever memories of our time in television, however long that may last. But
and I think that's
we've enjoyed every moment, and especially meeting people like you.
But I think that's how you have to see it. I mean, I often say, I treat people say, how do you keep going on Escapes to the Country? Well, the truth is, it's not the same old thing. Every show is different. I find, and that's because I make a point of it. And I always say I treat every show as if it's my first, which I still remember, and if it were my last, God forbid. But if you think about the emotions that are involved in both of those scenarios, I think it encumbers you to always bring a fresh and original approach to it. Even though technically it is a format show, you've got to keep it fresh. And you're blessed with, different people, different properties, different places. Every story deserves to be.
I suppose you're trying to get the best out of that person whose house it is, you've got to play them in a way that gives them the best chance of enjoying the experience.
Well, that's absolutely right. And you guys, you know what it's like. When people come on set here, come to the farm, making sure people are comfortable so that they can be themselves and be their best is what it's about, really, actually. And I think, if you go through life like that, you won't go far wrong.
So, Escape to the Country. We've touched on the On the Farm franchise where you first came into contact with David and I. Tell us a little bit more about that, Jules. How it started. You got a phone call from Paul Stead.
Yeah, so Paul got in touch, and I'd already done the first series of Today at the Great Yorkshire Show, and of course it was lockdown, and every channel was looking for original content that could be made safely within the bounds of COVID. We were lucky that as an industry, the government decided that we could still potentially work if we could justify the means and do it in a controlled environment. You'd obviously had great success with 3 series, I think, of Springtime on the Farm up to that point. So the farm was
the third one was a lockdown.
The third one was lockdown, yeah.
Because we did the first 2 with Adam and
Lindsay, was it?
Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was obviously a quick turnaround as a commission, but could Daisy Beck, were you willing to produce, to make, to host a notion of This Week on the Farm? And then Paul got in touch and said, this is what we're trying to do. At the moment, we can't get you to the farm because of lockdown, but would you be able to shoot your own links on an iPhone? We'll try and hook everybody up with some sort of communication. And up until about a week, I think, before we started filming, we were going to do it on our own. And then they said, actually, Channel have relented, and they've said, you can have a cameraman. And Colin came and joined me over. And it was kind of dreamy, wasn't it? Because
where was Colin from?
He's from South Wales. Yeah, right. It was great fun.
But he kept on messing up, didn't he? Because he'd have his mic
messing
on.
Up's harsh.
Every week, we could hear you, Colin. Colin, turn your mic off. It was something like that, wasn't it?
But bear in mind, we were doing this all with Amazon Choice Bluetooth earpieces and stuff. I mean,
falling out.
I couldn't hear.
Every expense was spared.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
We could have had Apple ones or something.
I mean, but somehow we cobbled it together. We had on the top of Colin's camera was his iPhone tuned into a Microsoft Teams meeting, so that Paul and the producers could somehow broadly see what he was seeing. And somehow we pulled it together. I mean, it was incredible, really. But we were blessed with amazing weather.
Yeah.
And every Monday, Colin would come up. We'd go into the field, obviously social distance, and we would shoot our links, and it would take us all day long because the comms kept dropping out, the Bluetooth failed.
I kept on messing up.
Yeah,
occasionally.
But we had
Helen. That day we got 3rd-degree burns because David wouldn't say a certain line.
Oh, God, we were talking about Kez and what a great film.
But we were all
was.
red, weren't we? By the end of it, we were all red.
We'd all actually gone bright red.
And Helen was going, "Come on, Dave, you just need to, just be a little bit more gushy." And I was going, "That's just stuck."
But it's horrible that because I think back to the beginning of my career. When someone said, "Oh, just be yourself." Just say that.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
I would be myself and I didn't want it. So,
but it was trial by fire. But my goodness me, it was well spirited. It was incredible. I remember a courier would come at the end of every Monday to take the rushes. The rushes are if anyone doesn't know, that's the raw footage back to Leeds. So I live in Herefordshire. So usually it would be a car, a taxi or something. And it was, bear in mind all the money and time that had gone into creating that footage. That little card, that SD card, was priceless. So it would be taken by the courier, taken up to Leeds, and then they'd put it into the system and edit it. And then one day this guy turned up in a Luton van. Yeah. I said, "What have you
Take
come
one
for?"
little card.
He said it was all they could get. This guy in a Luton van took this one little card. You could have put it in your back pocket. But we did it, didn't we? And then eventually, I mean, it was a 6-episode series. But on the 6th episode, we were able to come to the farm and get together, weren't we?
Yeah.
And on that day, we were told it's been pushed to 8 episodes, and that was fantastic. Yeah. We knew we were on.
And then it kept on going on. It kept on. We're more or less doing the same thing for 2 years. We were constantly.
Well, then it became Friday night on the farm.
Filming,
do you remember that phone call? Rich Mortar rang me up.
The thing about Rich, he's so committed, isn't he, to doing it right, that he said the best way to do it is to film all night. At the time, I thought, well, it can't be that bad, can it? But
that's exactly my reaction. I said, well, I mean, I filmed all sorts of crazy things all over the world.
Staying up all night is not an easy thing, is it, when you've been up all day?
But I thought, the farm at night, maybe that would give us something else.
But at 5 o'clock in the morning, it
brutal.
Yeah.
In November.
And they shot it out of scene as well. They did the start at the end. There was all sorts
all over the place.
Yeah,
but that's the nature of it, and that's what you have to take on board as presenters, as you now know. You just have to adapt to it and get your head in that space. But there were some high points. I mean, the chili eating was one I'll never forget.
2 weeks it took me to get over that. I can remember the burn now.
So I didn't appreciate the
Scoville. An industrial cleaner in for his toilet pan.
Jeez, I mean, honest to God, I mean. Within an hour.
Did it?
You disappeared.
Did you have to have a wild one, or did you manage to get back?
No, I managed to get back, but it looked like the bottom of a landscaper's skip, I can tell you. It was horrific.
Look, I know what it looked like, because it's the same happened to me. And I had the hottest one.
You did? How you suffered that?
Well, I kind of swallowed it whole, thinking, if it doesn't touch much in my mouth, right, it's not going to hurt.
No. Because you just basically planted a bomb in your stomach.
Yeah, and that bomb kept on exploding for 2 weeks.
What is it? If it doesn't hurt on the way in, it'll hurt on the way out.
Oh, I honestly don't know why you'd ever buy a chili. Why would you even want one? I just don't understand it.
I'm incredibly grateful to producer Kim Metcalf, who tipped me off as to which the mildest chili was. And I was able to. We were able to share that story on that very couch recently.
So you know who the favourite brother is now. Dave, you can have the hot one.
I think she just felt sorry for me.
But I think what's lovely is that this business can put people together for all sorts of reasons, and it doesn't always work. But the fact we all genuinely get along and rub along so well, the four of us with Helen, is what makes making this series such a joy, I think.
Who have you enjoyed working with most in television over the years, Jules, and who least?
No, carry on.
I mean, it's very rare that I co-host things. Escape is you on your own with your buyers, I suppose, mostly. I've worked with all sorts of people over the years. I mean, I have to say, I think our farming family here, and the welcome that you've given not just to me and to Helen, but to all the production team.
Yeah.
Everybody loves coming, and I think it's telling on a series that repeats how many regular faces come back.
It feels like this series of Winter on the Farm. There are so many of the old team here.
Yeah.
It feels like we've gone back to the start, and there's a warmth and a really great spirit around it, I think.
I don't think there's that much of a warmth, because you've got your coat on. It's -3 outside.
It's freezing in here.
It absolutely is. But
there's a warmth in the friendship.
Yeah, there
can't
is.
you get a wood burner in here, lads? I mean, come on, bit of free design advice. I mean, it would look great here. You wouldn't need that. You could have a nice wood burner, and we'd be nice and toasty.
I like the way you're thinking, Jules. But that draws me on to another strand of your life. I've noticed you've got a real passion for making things, for designing things. There are no limits to your talents, Jules.
I do love making things, and I guess it like making a film. Making a piece of furniture, painting a picture, you name it. It's funny. I know friends of mine who are really good at crosswords. I'm not. I'm absolutely useless at a crossword. I just don't have the brain for it, and I don't have the patience. But give me a design conundrum, I will wrangle that all day long in my mind.
And you've recently done a furniture making course, and you're now making commissions for clients and for the retail market.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved making, always been self-taught, really, over the years. Got a lovely workshop at home, and all part and parcel, I suppose, of house renovating as well. And I think that experience over many years is something I weave into Escape to the Country as well, when we're looking at properties and encouraging and helping people to see how they might re-envisage and repurpose something. But yeah, love making. And so this year, between January and April, I had the chance to spend 3 months full-time at the Boat Building Academy in Lyme Regis on a intensive furniture making course, which I absolutely love. Interestingly, at the time, the press got hold of it, and rumours were flying around that I'd chucked in TV, and this was going to be the future. That. And they still abound. You still hear it. It kind of gets regurgitated in the press.
That time of year, Jules, is just an opportunity for you to do something a little bit different. Escape's not being filmed, and it's a quieter time for TV.
It's a quiet time. We've done Christmas on the farm. We're waiting for Escape to come. That is a fallow period for us in kind of rural broadcasting, really. So it was the perfect opportunity to do it. And I think also, I'd lost some people that were very close to me. Yeah. And I think it does make you wonder, well, what are we waiting for?
An opportunity to reset, to make new ambitions, and you certainly used it wisely.
Well, I was very fortunate. Mrs. H was very supportive in letting me go down there, say full time, to do that. They came down on and off as well.
That's a lovely thing, though, isn't it? That to give you that opportunity to follow a passion, to do something that was in your heart that you wanted to know more about. Yeah,
and I have to give her full credit for that. And I think she recognised that actually I did need a bit of a reset. I'd lost my father, a great friend of mine, personal, long old schoolmate had died of very, very suddenly from cancer. It was just lots of my mother's got dementia, there's been a lot going on in that respect, and so it was vital. But also, she's a maker too. She's just on a blind making course. She's qualified upholsterer. Right. Between us, we do love to make, and all of that feeds into Jack, my son, who he's a creative little fellow as well. But I finally sort of drew it all together with a very little concession called the Jules Store, which is at Warehouse 701 in Hereford. Working with them, my local reclamation yard, themselves going through a bit of a revamp. So the Jules Store is now at Warehouse 701, and it's full of furniture and other items that I have exclusively made.
So if anyone's going to Hereford, they can literally go to Warehouse 701 and buy things that you've made and designed?
Absolutely, yeah.
And Could we get one of these as well while they're
The
there?
merch, the shirts, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I like it. I do like it. It's kind of like an artist's smock.
Can you see what it says on the back? Go on, read it.
If lost, return to... Oh, sorry.
Making makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it does. And I think it's good for the soul. And you don't have to be good at it. Just get out there and make
No, but
something.
that's a nice looking shirt. I'd be happy to have one of them if you fancy swapping.
There we are. You're on. You're on.
Now, Jules, you've got your workshop at home.
Yep.
Have you started making films, actually making your furniture in your workshop?
Not yet, no, but that's the next step, I think.
Well, it's like all these chef programs.
Yeah.
They've all got them they've got the stage
Cameras all set
kitchen.
up.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I was suggesting to a TV company recently, Jules's Weekend Workshop.
Yeah.
We've got all these weekend cookery shows, James
Exactly.
Martin and all the rest of it. What about a workshop show? Same sort of thing. We get in interesting guests like yourselves. We make something together, but then we learn about you at the same
Could
time.
I make a Yorkshire pudding?
It's not that kind of show.
It's not that kind of show, mate.
You could paint a picture.
I made myself Yorkshire puddings last night when I came in from filming.
You can make a Yorkshire pudding on a lathe. How about that?
A bowl.
I actually did though. I made some Yorkshire puddings.
One of the things to you watching and listening to this that I absolutely love about the farm is getting these little secret doors open onto their lives behind the scenes, and I mean, the chance to live on not just on a working farm, but on a farm that has the most fantastic deli, the most fantastic farm shop, its own bar, and a couple of other restaurants. I mean, you don't need to stray, lads, do you?
It's like you say though, Jules. Making makes me happy. Making a meal for someone that they appreciate makes me happy.
So you're going to get the bacon sarnies on after this thing? Because I'm
Yeah, are you
absolutely
hungry?
stuffed.
Yes.
I've had 2 crumpets this morning.
I haven't had anything yet.
But yeah, so that's the thing, and I think it's the thing that keeps me grounded. It keeps me sane. My happy place is the workshop, and yeah, now I'm making stuff, designing stuff, and also hopefully now working with people to come up with solutions to their own design problems. And I always say to people, you don't have to have made the item to own its authorship. People say, "Oh, I can't bang a nail in straight, but I really want something like this." If together we can design that, and that's where I'm really hoping the Jules Talk is going to go in terms of those commissions. Give us your ideas, tell us what you want to achieve, and we will make it with you, and you'll have it, and you'll be able to look back on it and think, "Yeah, I designed that."
So you can make a lasting masterpiece in conjunction with you and Warehouse 701.
Warehouse 701, yeah.
So next time we're in Hereford, we'll be coming down there and maybe we'll make a masterpiece together.
Now then, not for the first time.
Jules, we can't thank you enough. You're a really, really, really good friend and a wonderful person to talk to on our little settee in Barnsley.
And please come back again and we'll talk about some other bits and pieces.
Well, lads, it's always a pleasure, and yeah, I will be back again as well, and maybe next time we can combine it with a trip to the local.
Thanks, Jules.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Cannon Hall Farm podcast.
Don't forget to follow us on your podcast provider so every new episode comes directly to your phone.
Or if you want to watch the episodes, go to our YouTube channel, click subscribe, and they'll be waiting for you every Monday morning.
That's what I've been doing. I love watching them.
He watches every episode. Anyway, until next time, I've been Farmer Rob.
I've been Farmer Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Some of them pub stories never made it in, did they?
No, there's some of that stuff he kept to himself.